declaring the end of the war in Gaza as a new beginning. And now speaking at the Gaza Peace Summit, Donald Trump has now expressed hope for a stronger Middle East with God's help, saying that the region has a potential of becoming both prosperous and united. He's made a strong call to reject the path of terror once and for all.
The momentous breakthrough that we're here to celebrate tonight is more than the end of the war in Gaza. It's with God's help, it'll be the new beginning for an entire beautiful Middle East. From this moment forward, we can build a region that's strong and stable and prosperous and united in rejecting the path of terror once and for all. We want.
But as he urges support for Gaza, saying that aid must uplift only civilians, no funds for terror or violence, as far as he's called for demilitarization of Gaza, and he's outlined the Gaza peace terms as well. This is now coming in as Donald Trump has now talking about this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity or this chance for lasting peace, and has also made a mention, especially when it comes to reaching the Middle East incredible destiny together. Donald Trump is now urging that the entire area needs to be demilitarized.
We've all agreed that supporting Gaza must be done to lift up the people themselves, but we don't want to fund anything having to do with bloodshed, hatred, or terror, as has happened in the past. And for the same reason, we're also agreed that Gaza's reconstruction requires that it be demilitarized and that a new, honest civilian police force must be allowed to create a safe condition for the people in Gaza.
Well, Trinjoy, credit must be given where it is due as far as the role that President Trump and the U.S. has made, especially when it comes to brokering peace. But the security challenges still lie ahead. This is something that a concern was raised by the Prime Minister of Israel too.
Yes, not just Trump. Trump, of course, there's no doubt about it, but also the Egyptians, the Qataris, and the Turks. Most importantly, the Israelis have said that peace and security is important, and therefore one issue in the Trump peace plan has to be worked out, which is the Hamas returning all the weapons it has. Now, has Hamas agreed? That's the first question. Secondly, even if Hamas agrees, how do we know it has returned all its weapons? And three, how do we know it will not secure more in the near future? So that is something still worrying people. There is naturally, if there's been so much fighting over these years, and of course the history of the decades before it, there will be a trust deficit. So there is a trust deficit, and it is important for the Trump administration to work through that. There has been several very important positive steps. Peace has come to the area. The guns have fallen silent. You can hear the silence of the guns, literally. But now you have to build on it, yes, and to ensure that nobody is feeling insecure. Everyone should feel secure, and that's very critical. Now the opportunity is there, and if this opportunity is made use of, perhaps the Middle East in a decade will look very different.
And we have seen the kind of cheers and celebrations that has been taking place on both sides. The live 20 hostages returning home. On the other side, people who have been literally witnessing a famine. Now we are looking at truckloads of aid, and humanitarian activity now seems to have gathered pace in Gaza at least. But speaking of the security challenges, and here is what President Donald Trump has to say, again, where he's called for this once-in-a-lifetime chance to put the old feuds and bitter hatreds behind us. And he says that if we do that together, we will reach a Middle East incredible destiny, which is a safe, prosperous, and a beautiful crossroads of culture, commerce, faith, and humanity. So a positive step and a statement that is coming in from the President of the United States, where he's calling for unity across the region.
This is the day that people across the region and around the world have been working, striving, hoping, and praying for. They have done things over the last month that I think were really unthinkable. Nobody thought this could happen. With the historic agreement we've just signed, those prayers of millions have finally been answered. As you know, the hostages have been returned, and further work goes on having to do with the, sadly to say, bodies. Together we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East, and we've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there, and now we're there.
Yes, Srinjoy, lessons need to be learned, especially what has happened before, and putting this bitter fight and conflict that has left hundreds and thousands of dead. To what end exactly that is? Because Israel says that even if the war is now over, there would be still, some suspicion over when it comes to not just the rebel groups that we're looking in Gaza, but in other countries as well that have been targeting Israel.
Yes, the Israelis have been very worried about the Hezbollah in the Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and one or two other people. So that's something that has to be sorted out. But very importantly, the fact that Hamas has to return its weapons is something that could be crucial in the future. Also, the reconstruction of Gaza, who is going to be responsible for it, and what kind of authorities will rule over Gaza, whether it will be a foreign a group of people in which it will include Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister. We do not know. That is part of the Trump plan, but Hamas is opposed to it. They want local people to be in charge. So these problems have to be sorted out. That's the second part of the peace plan. Yes, the ceasefire is in place, and that's a very good thing. Yes, there is an end to bloodshed, just as good. But now the long-term planning is necessary.
Yes.
And that is very important for the future of the people of Gaza and of Israel. The Palestinians and the Israelis have an opportunity to finally end war. And this is not just going to be good for the Israelis and the Palestinians. It will be good for the entire Middle East. It will be good for the world.
Absolutely. But there is another thing that has now happened with President Donald Trump. Let's put that out as the President of the United States this time has been honored with Egypt's highest award, receiving the Order of the Nile from Sisi, the President of Egypt. And he says that he's deeply honored to have received this recognition as he has thanked Egypt for this symbol of friendship and such a kind of a gesture that has also been received on part of Israel as well. Of course, Donald Trump fell short on receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, or rather being even nominated for it. But this is now coming at his development over the work that is now being done on U.S. brokered peace in Gaza in the Middle East, while he's been honored with the top civilian award.
I'm deeply honored to receive from you, Egypt's highest state honor, the Order of the Nile. The Nile is so beautiful, so magnificent. It's such a beautiful title, the Order of the Nile. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Great honor.
Well, tireless efforts, no doubt, that has been put in, Srinjoy, by the President of the United States of America. And as I said, credit needs to be given where it is due. However, no Nobel Prize for him, but at least when it comes to highest civilian honors, that is now coming in from President Trump. I believe Israel has also made a similar announcement.
Yes, if there's an award coming in from Egypt and Israel, it's a clear recognition, because Egypt is the most important country in that area in terms of population. And Egypt has always played a very important role. And President Sisi realizes that peace in his neighborhood is very important. President Sisi realizes that President Trump has played an important role in bringing peace, because no one wants a difficult neighborhood. No one wants a neighborhood that is chaotic. And the Egyptians, with its huge population and the fact that it has economic challenges, because of this war and the war between Russia and Ukraine, realizes that an early end to the conflict in the Middle East is beneficial for Egypt and for the entire region. This is something equally important, even more so for the Israelis, because they have been doing the fighting. They have been suffering losses.
Yes.
They have been facing the uncertainty.
So this honor, this recognition, of course, the work that has been put in brokering peace, lasting peace, hopefully, as far as in the Middle East is concerned. Of course, Donald Trump is awaiting for a breakthrough in the other conflict that has been ongoing between Russia and Ukraine. But as far as the civilian honors, the top honor coming in his way from Egypt and Israel is recognizing Donald Trump's distinguished contribution to supporting peace efforts, diffusing conflicts, and most recently his pivotal role in ending the war in Gaza. Well, Srinjoy, thank you very much for joining in with those live updates. But when we speak of these 737 days it has been since the devastating Gaza conflict, which claimed thousands of lives and has caused widespread destruction,